Have you ever wondered why some men give their whole world to one woman, treating her like a queen, while treating another as if she's just one more choice? The difference isn't luck, looks, or the perfect moment. It's something much deeper, something that shapes how a man values a woman and how a woman values herself. There is a psychological truth behind all of this, one that can completely shift how you look at relationships, self-worth, and personal power. Because once you understand it, you will never again settle for being treated like an option. A man treats a woman like a queen when he sees her as rare, not because she's the prettiest in the room, not because she's loud or demanding, but because there is something steady and grounded about her presence. She carries a calm confidence, a quiet strength that tells the world she knows who she is and what she deserves. You can sense it the moment she enters a room. She doesn't beg for attention, yet somehow she attracts it. Her energy speaks long before her words do. That's the first true sign of rarity, self-assurance without arrogance. When a man meets a woman like that, something inside him shifts. He feels the difference between someone seeking approval and someone who already understands her own worth. This type of woman does not chase validation. She doesn't fight with other women for a man's attention because she knows that attention won through competition never lasts, but the respect gained through discipline and emotional strength does. She doesn't play emotional games or beg for consistency. She expects it. And when a man senses that expectation, his actions change. He becomes more thoughtful, more careful with his words, more aware of how he shows up, because on a deeper level, he understands that this woman will not tolerate careless behavior. She has standards, and those standards clearly define how she will be treated. Men are naturally wired to value what they must earn. When a woman respects herself enough to make a man earn her time, trust, and affection, she becomes unforgettable, not because she is being manipulative, but because she is showing strength and discipline. She is showing him that her emotions are not something to play with. They are something to honor, and that honor creates depth. It separates her from everyone else, because in a world where people give their attention away so easily, the one who protects hers becomes valuable. A woman who knows her worth doesn't just say she deserves better, she acts like it. She doesn't argue with a man to convince him of her value. She lets her silence, her space, and her choices speak for her. If she notices inconsistency, she steps back, not out of anger, but out of clarity. She knows chasing a man who can't decide leads to self-betrayal, and that kind of quiet strength, that ability to walk away with grace, is something a man never forgets. It plants a seed of respect, even if he never admits it. Because at the core, every man knows that the woman who doesn't need him but chooses him is the one worth protecting. This is the energy of a queen, not someone who controls others, but someone who has control over herself. She doesn't react to disrespect in an emotional rush. She responds with dignity. She doesn't lower her standards to keep someone in her life. She raises her standards until only the right people can stay. Her emotional balance is her crown, her self-respect is her throne, and any man who meets her feels something powerful, admiration mixed with a little fear, the healthy kind of fear that proves she cannot be replaced. You see, men don't only respect what they love, they protect what they respect. When a man notices that a woman carries herself with purpose and intention, he naturally feels a sense of responsibility toward her. He wants to meet her level, match her energy, and rise to her standard. He realizes that her loyalty is not a free gift. It is something he must be worthy of. And that realization changes everything. Suddenly, she's not just any woman. She becomes the woman whose thoughts matter, whose presence brings comfort, whose absence leaves him unsettled. That's when he starts treating her like a queen, not because she demanded it, but because her presence quietly requires it. What makes her rare is not perfection, it is balance. She can be gentle but firm, soft but strong, loving without being foolish. She understands patience but doesn't confuse it with tolerating disrespect. She knows when to give and when to walk away. Her emotional intelligence reminds her that love without respect is empty, and she never trades her self-worth for attachment. That is what sets her apart. That is what makes her powerful. Men are naturally drawn to women who challenge them, not through control, but through inspiration. And a woman with strong self-worth does exactly that. She challenges a man to grow, not through nagging, but through her actions. She doesn't tell him to be mature, she simply lives with maturity. She doesn't beg for loyalty. She inspires loyalty through how she carries herself. Her consistency shows him what true stability feels like. Her boundaries show him that her presence cannot be taken for granted. That's why men treat her differently, because she doesn't allow chaos, confusion, or emotional laziness into her life. When a man meets a woman who respects herself deeply, he realizes something important. She's not just another moment in his story. She could be the turning point. And that understanding changes how he behaves. He listens more carefully. He chooses his words with purpose. He becomes more intentional because he knows that one careless action could cost him something truly rare. That is the power a woman of value holds. She doesn't manipulate him with emotions. She teaches him through her example. And the truth is, every woman has this potential, but many lose it when they start believing that love must be earned through sacrifice, that attention must be chased, or that affection must be bought with endless effort. It doesn't work that way. Love built from fear is not love at all. It is dependency. Real love begins when a woman stops trying to be enough for everyone and becomes enough for herself. That's when everything changes. That's when men start treating her differently, because the woman who recognizes her worth doesn't wait for a crown. She behaves like a queen first, and when she does, the world, including the men in it, has no choice but to respond. A man treats a woman like an option when he senses she does not believe she deserves more. This truth can hurt, but it is the foundation of human behavior. People mirror what they see. And when a woman accepts the bare minimum, she unknowingly teaches others that this is all she needs. It's not that she lacks value, not at all. It's that her own sense of worth has been blurred by fear, self-doubt, or the desire to feel chosen. When a woman questions her own value, that uncertainty shows up in how others treat her. A man can feel it, even without words. He senses that he can do less, try less, and still keep her around. That's when effort fades, and she wonders why things changed. The truth is that men respond more to boundaries and energy than to words. A woman can say she wants respect, loyalty, and consistency, but if her actions show the opposite, if she forgives too easily, tolerates neglect, or waits for someone who keeps hurting her, her words lose their power. What she allows teaches him more than what she says. Every time she excuses bad behavior, every time she accepts silence where communication is needed, every time she stays when she knows she should leave, she sends a message. You can treat me like this and I will still stay. It's not weakness, it's misplaced loyalty. But to a man, it looks like permission. When a woman doesn't stand firm in her standards, the dynamic shifts. She stops being someone to pursue. She becomes someone to return to when it's convenient. He doesn't prioritize her. He fits her into the empty spaces of his life. He gives her just enough attention to keep her hopeful, but never enough to make her feel secure. It's not that he doesn't see her value. It's that he doesn't feel he needs to rise to meet it because she has already lowered herself to meet him. And that is where the cycle begins, the slow fading of respect disguised as love. Many women don't realize that the moment they start accepting emotional crumbs, they teach a man that a full effort is unnecessary. He learns that he doesn't need to grow, improve, or commit because she is rewarding him without requiring change. He gets comfort without accountability. And once comfort replaces effort, effort disappears completely. That is why relationships with uneven energy eventually fall apart. You cannot build respect when someone has learned that disrespect carries no consequences. A woman who is treated like an option often confuses love with attachment. She waits for the man he could become instead of the one he actually is. She tells herself he cares deep down. She tells herself maybe she's asking too much. But what she's really doing is bargaining with her own worth. And once a woman begins negotiating her value, she loses control of her own story. Love is not earned through shrinking yourself. It is created when you rise into your fullest self and allow only those who match your energy to stay. When a man senses that a woman doubts her worth, he stops trying to earn her. Deep down, he assumes she will always be there, that no matter what he does, she will stay, forgive, and wait. And the more she stays through mistreatment, the less he values her loyalty, because loyalty without limits looks like desperation, not devotion. That is the painful reality of many relationships. The woman gives everything hoping it will inspire love, but all it inspires is his comfort, and comfort without respect turns into laziness, which slowly becomes neglect. The transformation begins the very moment a woman remembers who she is, the moment she stops chasing potential and starts asking for presence, the moment she understands that love is not shown through suffering but through mutual effort, when she stops waiting for him to recognize her worth and starts living as if she already knows it. Everything around her shifts. A man can feel it instantly. He feels something strong when he encounters her. It is admiration mixed with a quiet kind of fear, the healthy fear that reminds him she cannot be replaced. Men don't only respect what they love, they protect what they respect. When a man understands that a woman lives with intention, he naturally feels a sense of responsibility toward her. He wants to match her effort and rise to her level. He becomes aware that her loyalty is not something handed out easily, it is something earned and valued. That understanding changes everything for him. Suddenly, she is not just another woman. She becomes the woman whose thoughts matter, whose presence brings calm, and whose absence feels like something important is missing. That is when he starts treating her like a queen, not because she demanded it, but because her presence asks for it without needing to say a single word. What makes her rare is not trying to be perfect. It is the balance she carries. She knows how to be gentle but firm, soft but strong, loving but never foolish. She does not mix patience with tolerance. She can show care, but she also knows when it is time to step away. She is emotionally wise enough to know that love without respect is empty. She never gives up her self-worth just to hold on to someone. This is what makes her different. This is what gives her strength. Men are naturally drawn to women who challenge them in a healthy way, not women who try to control them. A woman who respects herself does exactly that. She challenges a man to grow, not by telling him what to do, but by showing it in her own life through discipline and growth. She does not tell him to act mature. She simply shows maturity in her own choices. She does not ask for loyalty. She earns it through the way she lives. Her consistency shows him what real stability feels like. Her boundaries remind him that not everything in life can be taken for granted. That is why she is treated differently. She does not allow confusion, chaos, or inconsistent behavior to enter her life. When a man meets a woman who deeply respects herself, he realizes something important. She is not just another page in his story. She might be the moment everything shifts for him. That realization changes how he behaves. He listens more closely, speaks with more care, and chooses his actions more intentionally because he knows one careless mistake could cost him something that is not easy to replace. That is the kind of influence a valuable woman has. She does not manipulate him with emotions. She teaches him through her example. And the truth is, every woman has this strength. But many lose it when they start believing that love must be earned by overgiving, that attention must be chased, or that affection must be bought through effort. It does not work that way. Love built from fear of being left is not real love. It becomes dependency. Real love begins when a woman stops trying to be enough for everyone and starts being enough for herself. That is when her energy changes. That is when men begin to look at her differently, because a woman who knows her value does not wait to be treated like royalty. She carries herself like royalty first, and when she does, the world, including men, responds to that energy naturally. A man treats a woman like an option when he feels she does not believe she deserves more. This truth might hurt, but it explains how people behave. People mirror what they think you expect. When a woman accepts the smallest effort, she unknowingly teaches others that this is all she needs. It does not mean she is unworthy, not at all. It means that her own view of her value becomes blurred by fear, insecurity, or the desire for approval. When a woman questions her own worth, that doubt shows in how she carries herself. A man can feel it even if she does not say it. He senses he can give less, try less, and still be accepted. That is when he pulls back his effort, and she begins wondering what changed. The hard truth is that men respond more to energy and boundaries than to words. A woman can say she wants respect, commitment, and consistency, but if her actions show something different, if she keeps forgiving without limits, accepting neglect, or chasing mixed signals, her words lose power. What she accepts teaches him more than what she says. Every time she excuses bad behavior, every time she accepts silence where communication is needed, every time she stays even when she knows she should leave, she sends a message: "You can treat me this way and I will remain." It is not weakness. It is loyalty in the wrong place. But to a man, it looks like permission. When a woman does not stand firm in her standards, the relationship shifts. She stops being someone he works to win and becomes someone he returns to only when it is convenient. He does not make her a priority. He places her in the empty spaces of his life. He gives her just enough attention to keep her hoping, but never enough consistency to give her peace. It is not that he cannot see her worth. It is that he does not feel the need to rise to meet it because she is already lowering herself to meet him, even when that level is below what she deserves. And that is how the cycle begins. It is the slow loss of respect disguised as affection. Many women do not realize that when they begin accepting emotional crumbs, they teach a man that he never needs to give more. He learns he does not need to change, grow, or commit because she rewards him without him having to improve. He gets comfort without responsibility, and once comfort settles in, effort fades. That is why relationships built on uneven energy eventually fall apart. You cannot build respect where someone learns that their disrespect has no consequences. A woman who becomes treated like an option often mistakes attachment for love. She waits for the version of him she imagines rather than the one he shows her. She tells herself he will change, that he cares deep down, that she might be expecting too much. But what she is really doing is bargaining with her own value. And once you begin negotiating your worth, you lose your power in your own life. Love does not require lowering yourself to be chosen. It requires lifting yourself until only those who match your energy stay. When a man senses a woman doubts herself, he stops trying to win her. Deep down, he assumes she will always be there, that no matter what he does, she will forgive, wait, and stay. The more she stays through pain and disrespect, the less he values her loyalty. Loyalty without limits looks like desperation, not devotion. This is the tragedy of many relationships. The woman gives everything hoping it will create love, but it only creates comfort for him, and comfort without respect becomes laziness, which slowly turns into neglect. The change begins the moment a woman remembers who she is. The moment she stops chasing potential and starts requiring presence. The moment she realizes that love is not proven by suffering, but by mutual effort. When she no longer waits for him to recognize her worth and instead lives as if she already knows it, everything changes. A man can feel that shift instantly. You stop trying to explain what kind of woman you are because your actions already showed it. From the start, you made your standards clear without saying much. You never begged for honesty or asked someone to treat you right. You simply lived in a way that made your expectations obvious. You didn't chase anyone, you didn't play along with games, and you didn't lower your worth just because you cared. And that surprised him because he expected you to adjust yourself the way many others did. He thought you would soften your boundaries when emotions got involved. He assumed you would give him extra chances, excuses, or time. But you stayed steady. Whether you liked him or not, your values stayed the same. That's the part he didn't see coming. Most men say they like a strong woman, but they are rarely prepared to meet the standard that a strong woman sets. They enjoy the idea of confidence until they meet someone who actually lives by it. You didn't ask him to be consistent. You simply continued to act in a consistent way. You didn't demand respect. You showed what respect looks like and waited to see if he could match it. You didn't warn him not to play with your time. You just didn't respond when he tried, and suddenly he realized he was dealing with someone different, someone who doesn't fall for charm, empty words, or temporary effort. He expected you to be predictable. He thought the same tricks would work, the same promises, the same little performances men usually use when they want attention but not responsibility. But you didn't fall for any of it. You watched, you listened, and you judged him by what he did, not what he said. That made him uncomfortable because words were always his strength. He relied on smooth talk to hide messy behavior. With you, that didn't work. When he tried to pull back, you didn't chase. When he became inconsistent, you didn't correct him or complain. You simply matched his energy. When he stopped showing effort, you stopped giving yours. Not to punish him, not to teach him a lesson, but because you don't stay where you are not valued. And that silence, that distance, that calm reaction shook him more than any argument ever could. He realized too late that you weren't the type of woman who stays out of fear of losing someone. You stay only when the connection is good, when the energy is respected, and when the actions line up with the words. He thought you were like the women who wait for potential. But you only respond to proof. He wasn't ready for that. He expected forgiveness without growth. He expected you to accept apologies that didn't come with change. But you have outgrown that stage of your life. You don't repeat lessons. You don't reopen closed doors. You don't ignore signs just because you feel something. You learned long ago that love means nothing if the behavior doesn't support it. You didn't choose him out of loneliness. You didn't choose him because he gave you attention. You chose him because you believed he could meet you at your level. But when his effort faded, your interest faded with it. When he made you feel uncertain, you chose peace over confusion. And when he thought distance would pull you closer, it only reminded you how well you function on your own. He started noticing things he never cared about before. Your silence felt louder. Your absence felt heavier. Suddenly, he wondered if you were happier without him, if someone else was giving you what he didn't. His curiosity grew because he knew your standards were real, and once you walk away, you don't look back. Men who lose a woman like you always understand the truth afterward. You were not demanding. You were honest. You were not cold. You were clear. You were not difficult. You simply knew your value. Your strength didn't come from pretending. It came from experience. You learned that caring for someone doesn't mean accepting less than the love you deserve. You learned that your softness is not free. It has to be earned. And you learned that the right man does not make you question your worth. He will think about you long after you're gone, not because you were perfect, but because you were real, because your presence required him to grow, and he didn't, because you gave what many women don't give anymore: honesty, loyalty, effort, and clarity. He thought those things were easy to replace until he tried to find them again. A woman like you doesn't lose men. You simply reveal who is not ready for you. The truth is simple. You never needed him to rise to your level. You hoped he would, but you did not depend on it. When he failed to meet your standard, you didn't punish him. You just moved forward, and that is what makes you unforgettable.